The time has come for lions to tell I and I own story. Yes, you're listening to Lion's Voice. I and I is Ras Tafari hailing from the island of St. Croix. Yeah, I'm bringing to you Ras Tafari vibes. Can you feel it? Ras Tafari. Babylon born when Rasta come together. Can you feel it? Rastafari, because Babylon done when I and I come together. Look how we live together, look how we work together, Oh, Babylon done when Rasta come together. Hail I, Rastafari, His Majesty and Empress men and bless. Yeah man, hailing from St. Croix, Rastafari, hail you.
Aye.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
So when I moved from my father, I used to come back to Kwando and go to normal, regular Sunday church until I discovered the Royal Faith, thinking that they would be better than the Roman. But I went there once, I realized that they were joking because they criticize Roman, they do everything, but they observe all the Roman laws. Christmas, Easter, everything, but they say it's Roma Papacy, Roma. So this opened my mind so much. Then that was the first place I heard Ethiopia in the Bible. So when I heard Ethiopia in the Bible, I began to look for some more black things. So my eagerness to move out of the Roman Catholicism and church culture now. So I stayed for a number of months or years without going to church. Until one brethren came to me and told me about Sabbath. And that brethren who told me about Sabbath was a man that I forced him to be a Rasta man, because when I go wild, many people begin to get shocked because they know I was a very brilliant student in school. So everybody began to ask me questions. And there was my uncle who came from Accra. He said something that upset me so much that he said there was one young youth who was wearing some cap in his work side. He asked what was the boy doing, and they said he want to grow locks. And he said the boy should go and remove the cap, go to barber shop the same minute, otherwise the man will lose the job. So when they say this is a drink and happy, I feel bad about how can somebody lose job being a young youth. So me, I was feeling badly different, but they were doing this happiness and drink and So we were two who was visiting Duffons and Levi. So that uncle came out and said, they saw one of our brothers, they call him Gave. So they said, what was Gave doing? Gave come and he chose the name Gave as well, because we begin to know about Marcus Gave. And there was my brother who was our very influencer somebody, because he used to play culture when he want to learn. He used to stay in Accra. He was a polytechnic student. But when he come back to holidays, he played culture throughout, dawn time, late night, every time he was playing culture. And then there was a younger brother in the house who used to talk about culture, that they don't stay at home, they are spiritual people. So they begin to let me know the mystification of Rastafari when they were not racists. My older young brothers who were bald-headed, they begin to say, when they talk, they say Benny Spears. Even it's hard you hear reggae. Reggae was on cassette. So when people were migrating from Nigeria, they brought a lot of tape with 4 batteries and cassette, and you were hearing about more of Eric Donaldson, but they were not talking about the spirituality of Eric Donaldson, more like culture. And then Benny Spears, they say culture don't even stay at home, culture don't use dresses. Okay. So they used to show me culture, pictures of Harder Than a Rock, 2/7. They used to show culture in a shot with the stay in bush like international help. So those were the pictures my brothers were showing me, that Rastaman was not a street thing, like culture was like. So I began to see Rastafari was more like a spirituality thing. And I realized that affected a lot of my young racists today in Ghana, because they mystified the Rastafari, thinking that the imagination, there was a spirituality, like Rastafari was kind of spiritual, like how Roman churches and everything they tell us. So when they discover His Majesty, they still lost in the helms of physically interpreting His Majesty, about where the presentation He presents for us as the physical flesh of. Because when you go to Bobo, they'll tell you man of right is God in flesh, man of wrong. So this thing, you have it in your mind that anybody who do right is of God. So Permaculture is an old ancient. Anytime they ask me, I have a lot of videos I've done from the Permaculture Institute, many TV stations. What I normally say is, it's an old traditional way of living and life, but it's now be formalized and put to academical recognition, and certificate can be given. That's the only difference. But there's two ways into it. Whilst permaculture, the Europeans are taking our indigenous African way of knowledge, they are also giving us back what they are lost of as what is wrong to them, like fertilizer farming, chemical farming. So it's a two opposite thing. Even if you look around, you realize that there's a section of garden which is not a high forest bush, but you see palm, you see mango, you see pawpaw, you see few things. So normally that is traditional way of Africans' life. But now the same person who have the little garden is having a big acres of corn with fertilizer, big acres of tomato with chemical and spraying and all that. So it's about the mindset that's been drawing from the traditional agriculture to become a Europeanized conventional farming with too much use of chemical. That is what permaculture is withdrawing people again from to go back. So it's just like a Sankofa thing. You were unconsciously living in it. And that was the biggest expression that influenced my youth the first day when he came from the village. He never realized that people were sitting there back talking about, because his grandmother, his mother who gave him the first land, never used fertilizer yet in their whole life of farming.
Exactly.
But they, as young youth, begin to use. So by it wasn't too long for him. So he can remember 8 years from now where there was no fertilizer actively in their community. But now they come down to use fertilizer. And weedicides, insecticide, pesticides. So food sovereignty Ghana came about, I think, 2009 or 10, or between 2010 and 15. Then the government of Ghana brought a bill to parliament, what they call Plant Breeders Bill. We already were having, like, the Ras Tafari Council of Ghana, we're having the Pan-African Network, that the daughter of Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of Ghana, Samia Nkrumah, used to have marches. We used to demonstrate against government intervention which don't favor African people. So we were in Ghana when they brought the Plant Breeders Bill as a bill to stop the sustainable usage of traditional seed, plants, and things to breed GMO seed, which they call. So when the Plant Breeders Bill is not in place, they cannot have the mandate to bring in any new seed to Ghana, because the constitution of Ghana have boycott all foreign. That's from the indigenous way of Kwame Nkrumah, how he write the constitution and things to protect black people.
Yes.
But when our people want to bring in the Monsanto, they have to find a way that they amend the bill from parliament. That's what they call Plant Breeders Bill. There was no Plant Breeders Bill in Ghana. You can't breed no plant in Ghana, so automatically it's against any law of nature to breed any plant in Ghana, first of all. So when the GMO was coming, they have to convince the government to bring a bill that is Plant Breeders Bill that allow new genetically modified organisms to come to Ghana. So with that, we have to organize as Pan-Africans to demonstrate against government, take placards in Accra. So every March, we're having a regular date in Ghana, yearly, annually, that used some marches, like while the government was taking to court to explain what GMO was. So they halt the passing of the bill into law. And that has been there until now. They say they're giving some excuse to the people that you have to label the GMO, because our argument was, even if you are trying to bring GMO, which you are forcing the people not to deny it, educate them to understand the consequences of GMO and chemical usage, because already with the Ghana agriculture system, we have what we call hybrid seeds.
Yes.
These hybrid seeds are kind of seed when you maybe a corn. You plant 1 acre of corn, every year you have to go and buy back a seed from them 1 acre, because when you plant back the seed, it will grow without giving you fruits. The corn will not bear. So it's just a developing corn that yours will not bear. So you have to go back and buy it from them every year. So this was a standard of system which I was not satisfied with. It was already organizing people to fight against. They have other Ras Tafari organization, but Bobo is strictly on 12, like on sabbatical order, and they create mostly priesthood, and their movement is back to Africa. So he never even realized how strong Bobo was when he came. He moved out of Jamaica, but when he came here now, he realized that no, Bobo have done a lot. That he began to understand that President Manuel sent delegation to all over Africa, Ethiopia, Nigeria. So what happened in Ghana later, where the camp got the problem, was there was rotation of elders who were sent by Jamaica to Ghana camp. So Prince Jakai was there. Prince Migi was the first when he passed. Prince Jakai took over. Then after Prince Jakai passed, Prince Banik, Prince Giffy, they were setting of a set of Bobos who were sent to Nigeria. Bona, Prince Bona, who was the son of Prince Emmanuel himself, was also here, but he was also sent to Ethiopia. So by how they find hardship and difficulties in all this country. So it was only Ghana that was functioning at that time. But the same Bobo in Ghana were not serious with the, maybe my language might not, but they were not actively with building of the tabernacle or that they were in Accra and all that. So it was the members of the Nigeria congregation of Bobo Ashanti who came to speed up the works in Ghana, which was member of Presbyterian, but they never give the leadership to themselves, but they gave it to the Ghana delegation. So it was the confusion from Presbyterian, who was a young, even he wasn't a priest according to what the priest normally say. He was a carpenter that was sent to support the priest. So he was crowned here as a priest in Ghana. So he was fighting the people. Them now he started talking about when Priest Migi passed and then Priest Jakai passed. Now the eldest priest was in the camp was Priest Banik, which Ba was not even living in the camp. Priest Ba was in the camp at that time. So he used to come from Accra with Empress Fomia and all that. So then he came one day and then was having argument with Priest Banik and all that. So he feel like they who were sent to Ghana should have been the people. And he was very young youth at that time too. So he began to bring the confusion and then start to bring the whole camp into chaos in the way that leadership. Now he feel like he's being part of the Ghana delegation, so he should take over the camp. So it was kind of argument, always fighting Priest Banik until he brought in police and immigration now.
Wow.
Yes, when immigration was sent to the Bobo camp, and it was like, that's where I realized when I'm living in like a permaculture, living in the camp, I realized what kind of camp the camp was serving. There were many brothers from Nigeria, Ivory Coast, many African who were not having documents, but they were living comfortably in the camp for so many years. So when that happened, a lot of people have to be sent into custody of police because they were not having update document, and most of the Bobo who came from other parts of Africa were not having document. Okay. Just the visitation of one Bobo young youth, that is what brought down the falling of the camp. So now he controls it in his own way that he feels that that's the way it's supposed to be. It's different region of where you coming from as Ras Tafari youth in Ghana. Because most people in Accra, it's difficult for them to move from Accra and have some. But when there are various type of farm that are like having the good financial structures, most of the youth are willing. And secondly, to what it is most of the youth who don't have support as in a structure of how they can do something on their own. Farming is a thing where you have to start with a conscious mind. So if you don't have the conscious mind of going to farm, you see a farming as a punishment instead of being as a way of life. So as long as you don't see it as a way of life, it will be difficult for you to just go and start to develop a consciousness of being like this. But the thing is, when I met Ras Tafari like Bobo camp, you can't live in a Bobo camp where you are not a farmer. So traditionally, and farming gives you some freedom because nobody can live without food. So me, as I do my researches as a Rasta young youth, and I discover permaculture, that we are doing things in the hands of other people who are making a lot of benefit out of it. So farming shouldn't always be like carry cattle as a hoe and go and attack the farmer. No, you can do farming in various understanding where artists can be a farmer, everybody can play his role in the farming. That is new standard of farming, that when we communicate this level of farming to our young brother, they will understand. Like people don't even really understand what I do, why it's for them. That is why anytime there's a space like this is what I identify with, and so I want them to get closer and get the inside of it, that they don't define us like what they see, but they define us by what they see us doing and know us. And I see that that's been the part we keep from society so long. So they define me, Rasta, you are this and that. But meanwhile, we're doing great stuff to the community. And because I went to the school, even they were talking about his hair, and I say, oh, we have institution bigger, even higher than the institution in the community. Why should we always be fought against? And they say, but your people don't tell you, what do you do? You work for yourself. But we are working as a Roman Catholic is talking as if they are working for the community. But Cassie is doing for the community more than what the Roman, because every Sunday you go to church and contribute. Do you ask them what they use the money for? These are some of the few changes I want to see in Africa. Yeah. A person cannot go to church and contribute money every day without asking the church, what is the money for? And chief and people are not stepping in to save our people's life from it, because it's being created from the colonialization of people's mind. Every day you go to church and put your money to the money box, which not that you are overrich, that you want to support, but it's out of your ignorance. So when I see the community behaving in more negative direction, and most of the time I have to spend my resources, we go to Accra, do everything. If not, they are carrying me with bike. Even the first day you carry me, I have to pay for fuel. So you can't spend your own resource on a community development project that have to support a whole community in the future. So this is how the community has been. They don't understand how we black people, we want to bring a lot of intervention. So the Europeans make it look like we are rather enemy to ourselves more than helping ourselves. So we are finding it difficult to organize, to save the problems that belong to we African than to be working for a community that don't even recognize us. Diaspora shouldn't worry, they should come home, because the future of the world is problematic. I work with the United Nations departments and I know how the future problematic of the world is being concerned and problems with the whole global nation. And when that happens, nobody will be there to help us as black people. So before anything we start thinking about where we start from, we have to be heading towards home, and Africa is home, and we are here as African brothers to support the movement, you know. So more space, more room for improvement, and we give thanks for Cassie, because when the space is not created, you can't organize anything, you know. So the space is the first thing. In Africa, you have to buy your space to free yourself from anything. So we give thanks for the works, and we give thanks for the great work from Cassie. And Habisha, not to be forgotten, they are the brain behind all this. So Cassie, respect and big up, and guide and protect, and yes, Lion Voice Network, we're there too. Yeah.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice.
Yeah, Ras Tafari, Emperor Selassie the first. Tell the people about Empress Mene. Well, even if the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, well, through the coming war we stand tall. I will shower you with my love, and even when the people start ball, 'cause they see the city streets them flood. But when the hurricane blow down their wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your love was a lifeline. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, that light was a lifeline. It seems like the world is upside down. I will never hide, I'd rather stand my ground. Lion of Judah blessed with the triple crown. Can't come fool I with no circus clown. Now fear no hurricane or the cyclone. Respect for Mama Earth with that embedded on me bone. That's why I will never leave you alone. Protect you from harm when the alarm sound.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Charles Match Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm a creative industry attorney, I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of the Lion Voice Vlog. Welcome to the Lion Voice Vlog, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story. Today we have a very special guest on the broadcast, a brethren I've known for years. Seen him on the battlefield, one of the frontline soldiers here in Ghana. He's from the Volta region. He has been boots on the ground for so many ones, so much wisdom this brethren carries. We are here at the Kwaiko Ando Sustainability Institute after a monumental series of events, historic events. The brethren was there for all of it. So we're gonna get his vibration. We're gonna talk about the state of agriculture in Ghana. Brethren went to agricultural college. All these things. So who am I talking about? I'm talking about the great Bobo Selassie.
Yes, respect Lion Voice Network. We give thanks,
Yes,
you know,
give
for
thanks.
being here, and all this by you and done with you, and you are the greatest of putting everything together. So we're happy for a great family gathering like this. It's never been too late, it's never before. So Ras Tafari every time, and we're giving thanks for the upfrontness of Ras Tafari, not always the backwardness. We're out of the ghetto now, so institution, habitat, that's a good initiative. So we give thanks for the great work, that we give thanks to see a better future for Africa. Yes, that's all I can say now. Give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. We have a tradition here on the Lion Voice Network where we ask our guests to step into our Lion Talk time machine. Take us to the moment of the birth. Where were you born? What was it like, and what was your journey as an indigenous Ghanaian to finding Rastafari?
Yeah, man, I was born in a village called Bando Jibe. Bando is one of the great nations in Volta region. Volta particular is one region within the 16 regions of Ghana. And it's been like very vibrant in most of the development stories in Ghana, and we have good people who have contributed a lot to the development of Ghana. And one thing they know about Volta is wisdom, wise mind and priestlyhoods, and and when it comes to Rastafari in Ghana, I should say proudly that Volta, or we call it Voltarians, are most number of people who have carried locks in Ghana. So we have this advantage of our priestlyhood. And I was born into a Catholic community. My father, my mother were Catholic, but after some time on the line, my father shifted to this, they call it spiritual churches, these newly coming churches. Because those times when we were young, there was no other church than Roman, Anglican, and then Presbyterian, those old charismatic churches. Then now it came to this so-called spiritual, like Assemblies of God, and different new churches begin to spring out. They brought us in the understanding that whatever we were exposed to was the standard of life. So people were not allowed within the Roman Catholic era to create their own churches. So my father was extra happy that when he got somebody who can preach of a new strength for him, that you can build your own church, you can be a member, you can be a pastor. So that was encouragement of my father. So he had to be member of a church, Sunday charismatic something church. Then he was a member until he was working with Ghana government at the time where there was a change of government, like a coup was made in Ghana. And one president have to overthrow the other. That was the era of Rawlings. So all of those who were working in some section of government department were like, they have to be running for their lives. So my father have to move from where we were in Bando to a different side of the region they call Nkwanta. That was about to the north side of Volta. Nkwanta is more far away to the north. So that's where my father was. But he went there and discovered a Sabbath church. So but I was left with my mother as a Roman Catholic. And actually till now, my mother is the only female catechist in the Bando district. Catechist positions are kind of, if the Roman father is not there, she's the one who officiates the church, because villages are not big enough to have a whole priest station there. So somebody have to be officiating the Sunday worship or Sunday masses, they call it. Then a day will come in the month, a Roman priest will come from the bigger community to come and do the church like once a month. So as long as the Roman priest is not there, my mother till now, she's the one who controls every Sunday church in my community. So I'm born from a Roman Catholic, and then at the age of between 9 and 10, I was sent from my mother's village to come to Pando, which is the bigger town, and to stay with my aunties to have higher education. So I went to my primary education, my second cycle, and then went further to Pando Technical Institute. So I attended Roman Catholic school called St. Michael's, and I attended boys primary school, which is also boys school. St. Michael was also a boys school, all by Roman Catholic. Before I went to the Pando Technical Institute, the Technical Institute was more of a boys school because more courses there are not for girls. But I was privileged to work in a department that I attended a new department they call New Block, which is the business department of the Technical Institute. So I did business administration and accounting, and was my priority. That was my early days. But when I was going to school, one thing I never too like was about sectioning of classroom, like the master talk and conditioning of people, and you don't have freedom to move. So every day I was running from the kind of classroom thing. But when I visited my father one of the time, then it came to a time for me to come and write my examination. So I was having a huge afro, we used to call it afro hair. But when I was in the early days between my second cycle institution and from my lower cycle, I remembered going locks between the two sections before my day come to going to school, higher school, and it wasn't locks, but I had my head twisted, and it was big fight for my family. And I realized that when I went to the second institution, or second cycle, there was one Rasta youth in my community, but I realized he always used to show me different races that he learned is originating from, but they always see him as, when they say ghetto, like streetism. And my family was more like Roma Kali kind of people, and they are more like Babylonian cultured and Christianized minded kind of people.
Like middle class.
Yes, so you are not to go to, even me, I wasn't mixed with the ghetto people, like you know, my aunties were strict, and luckily enough, behind my house was a very big swampy area, and most of the time we can be there in hot afternoon and we say police raid. Ghetto people are running, and my house will prevent the people from passing to our house because raiding, anybody who is running away not supposed to make it through our house area. So I see how strict my house was, and my house was a place that if you don't have any tangible reason, don't come and ask of anybody in the house, because they will face you with questioning, and you don't even, so mostly my house is not entertaining of friends. Like you come, my parents, like my aunties were so hot that even my uncle, they were former military personnel, and even if you iron and you create a new line, they ironing, it's just a big slap. So I grew in there, and my grandmother was when in the Roman church they used to give position to people like the eldest woman in the church, and then the eldest man in the church. So my grandmother was the eldest woman in the church holding that position. So imagine a strictly churchical. So everything was strict. But one thing I was always wondering that, so I was member of the Sunday school group of young youth from the Roman Catholic, and I learned what they call catechism. You have to learn the first communion, they will give you from their sacrament. Then you go to, then you, like that one, they will tell you about 7 pillars of Spirit of God. So then you become a higher member of the Roman, then you start to take communion. You go to, so every Sunday you have to take communion and all that. So I went to all that, but there was a change in my life, because when I went to my father, that day he forced me to go to Sabbath church, and I was supposed to leave back for school on Friday, but I happened to not be able to move. So I remembered my afro was so high that I have to use soap that day to wash my hair to be able to let a comb go through, because I have to go to with my father, and my father was the pastor of the Sabbath church. So there was no way I can go my hair covered or something, which is again. So I had a huge afro that day, which I can remember. And I was telling my father about this is the other part of, we all begin with the Roman, but we realized there's something wrong with Roman. So this is I'm also discovering his majesty. So actually my father never stood against my Ras Tafari belief, because he was also being fought against when he moved from the Roman Catholic. But one thing about him was he used to be like Pan-African. He knows about Kwame Nkrumah. So me and him used to talk about his majesty, Africa unity. But the same time there was a big problem between him and my mother, because when he left, we were left on my mother. So my mother, and he has different philosophy for my mother. Like sometimes there will be a big funeral, they can send somebody to say from the funeral die, the person, from the person pass, the funeral will not die. So he wasting his time for funeral, moving from his community going to just for funeral. My father don't entertain those funeral spirits. So he will send money afterwards to support by him, like emergency. Africa have a very funny situation that when somebody passes, where you get all the attention, the emergency, people will be traveling. But my father is a different opposition to that. So it was a big problem between him and my mother. So that was the kind of what I understand. So my mother used to grow us as a Roman youth, and then my father wanted us to move from the Roman square of life. But I used to go and visit my father any time that I finished my school, and I was the fourth born of I'm the fourth born of my father and my mother. So we're 4, and I'm the last. So I have one sister. I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. My brother was first, 2 sisters came between me, and I'm the last. So my father had a kind of attention, but out of the 4, I was the only person who went and looked for him when he was not in my community. Others grow and take the idea of my mother and always talk bad about my father. But when I was growing, I remembered I have to, they used to mount yam. Like if you want to make a yam farm, you have to build up a yam mound. I remember building 100 of that for one woman to get 1 CD. At that time was 10,000 Ghana, which was the transport to take to me to where my father was. So I took that money from the woman, traced my father, and my father was happy that none of my, out of the 4, nobody came to look for him. But so he began to interact with my school ideas, that he tell me to encourage me to go to the second cycle. So I could remember every holiday I used to go to him and take money for my education support. But when I was out of the second cycle, on my last paper I was writing law. And that time we were supposed to dress in coat, and my hair was already bushy and I was highly. So I have to remember that picture with coat, and I never fit in the coat business too much. So that day I began to say, if this is the way this report, the accounting thing is going to be, then I began to get a little bit of discouraged. So when I went out of there, but when I was in my 3rd year, there was already the presence of Bobo Jadofos in our community. And then Jawaldam.
Yes.
And then there was one, but the brother who brought there was a Muslim brother who brought the presence of the Ras Tafari to the community. And they had a project from the France government that they were doing rice. But there was another brother called Brother Levi. Levi also came from America. But Levi was more revolutionary than the Bobo. He is a man where he don't take back tack and all those very giant, but he never even appreciated Bobo too. I could remember he and Jadofos used to argue a lot about Prince Emmanuel being part of Trinity, and then he put Bob Marley in the Trinity of 12. And then Bobo tell him, say, Bob Marley is a musician who just even do public music, not much into spirituality, like how a priest as Prince Emmanuel will be there, not be part of holiness, but they want to put a music man who can be public out there. So when the man heard that, he was shocked. So, but I was working more with Jalivi before we met Jadofos. So, by Jadofos, that time there was no power, like tractor was not common, so they were using power tiller on Jawaldam, and some group of Rasis came to town, and Jadofos' van was the van they used to carry labels every day to the farm. But one thing he used to say, so I went to the house one day with Jalivi to get a power tiller. Then I saw that he was sitting in a hammock and doing the bamboo, cutting the bead. I said, no, I see the thing so beautiful. So I told him, no, Elder, I want to come and learn this. Then he told me the procedure. But one thing he said, nobody ever in this town as a young youth ever tell me that I want to learn this trade. So he was get lost in mind that why do I see the thing and get lost that I want to learn it. So he gave me a day. I went there 2 times and then I didn't meet him because he used to travel to Accra and back and front. Then one time I met him on the street, he dashed me money. Another time and I said, no, it's not the money I want. I want to know the craft. So he invited me to the house and I was learning the craft. But we were in the one day, the same Levi who was always arguing with the Bobo, one day I was on his field in the farm with him, rice farm, with other youth. And then he told me, he used to call me Constant because that time because my mother named me after Constant time. Constant was my name, my Christian name he knows for me. So he said, Constant, I have a holiday to go to it's a 23rd July and I have to go to Tafo. It's a camp for the Ras Tafari. I said, no, I never heard about the Rastaman having camp in Ghana. So that was a weekend around Friday. So I went home and told my aunties that I want to go and check my mother in the village, which gave me the space to spend 3 days with him till we came back Sunday. But on that occasion, something very seriously happened, which I never understood as a youth because I was still going to school. Jalivi went to the camp until Sunday. When we were about to leave, I saw tears in his face. But we went out of the gate and he called me, said, Constant, if this don't happen today, I don't know what. So we returned back to the camp. And that time there was the presence of Prince Jakai. But camp was very serious at that time. So, and
this was Bobo Camp.
Bobo Camp in Tafo. And Bobo Camp, when you are, there's a royal gate, well organized. They even have gate lock after 6. So if you have to go in there, every Sabbath, everything is well controlled. So he came there, even no matter how long your locks are, when you enter to the Bobo camp, you have to remove your turban once you are not crowned from the camp as a Bobo, because they don't go there with what they call false crown. So the royal guide will guide you through all kind of process. So when we're going out of the camp, you have to pray. So we hold our reverence going out. Then he told me, no, this cannot happen. He don't know when. No, he had a turban so in his bag. But when he went to the Bobo camp begging for the turban, they told, because he been a strong 12 tribe and so they told him he have to come and stay number of months, which he couldn't do that for that because we were already having a big rice farm for him. So he came there to spend the weekend, and then so he have to have an argument with Prince Jakai, talking about Prince Dennis Brown, his father being with Prince Emmanuel every time, but the Bobo were not convinced.
Yes.
So by that day I realized that when we came out of the camp, went back, he was having the turban before we went and he felt more comfortable. So we came back and then he told me that Jadofos, that he had a vision or a dream and feel like somebody was in a white robe come visit him like Prince Emmanuel. So that was how he converted from the 12th tribe or his belief to become a Bobo, and I was with him. So I see that elder man going to, I begin to get more anxious about what's so special about this Bobo Ashanti. Then he was telling me about they have other Ras Tafari organization, but Bobo is strictly on 12, like on sabbatical order, and they create mostly priesthood and their movement is back to Africa. So he never even realized how strong Bobo was when he moved out of Jamaica. But when he came here now, he realized that no, Bobo have done a lot, that he began to understand that President Emmanuel sent delegation to all over Africa, Ethiopia, Nigeria. So what happened in Ghana later, where the camp got the problem was there was rotation of routine of elders who were sent by Jamaica to Ghana camp. So Prince Jakai was there. Prince Migi was the first when he passed. Prince Jakai took over. Then after Prince Jakai passed, Prince Banik, Prince Giffy, they were setting of a set of Bobos who were sent to Nigeria. Bona, Prince Bona, who was the son of Prince Emmanuel himself, was also here, but he was also sent to Ethiopia. So by how they find hardship and difficulties in all this country. So it was only Ghana that was functioning at that time, but the same Bobo in Ghana were not serious with the, maybe my language might not, but they were not actively with building of the tabernacle or that they were in Accra and all that. So it was the members of the Nigeria congregation of Bobo Ashanti who came to speed up the works in Ghana, which was member of Prince Banik, but they never give the leadership to themselves, but they gave it to the Ghana delegation. So it was the confusion from Prince Ba, who was a young, even he wasn't a priest according to what the priest normally say. He was a carpenter that was sent to support the priest. So he was crowned here as a priest in Ghana. So he was fighting the people. Them now he started to talk about when Prince Banik, Prince Migi passed, and then Prince Jakai passed. Now the eldest priest was in the camp was Prince Banik. Which Ba was not even living in the camp. Prince Ba was in the camp at that time. So he used to come from Accra with Empress Fomia and all that. So then he came one day and then was having argument with Prince Banik and all that. So he feel like they who were sent to Ghana should have been the people. And he was very young youth at that time too. So he began to bring the confusion and then start to bring the whole camp into chaos in a way that leadership now he feel like he's being part of the Ghana delegation, so he should take over the camp. So it was kind of argument, always fighting Prince Banik until he brought in police and immigration now.
Wow.
Yes, when immigration was sent to the Bobo camp, and it was like, that's where I realized when I'm living in like a permaculture, living in the camp, I realized what kind of camp the camp was serving. There were many brothers from Nigeria, Ivory Coast, many African who were not having documents, but they were living comfortably in the camp for so many years. So when that happened, a lot of people have to be sent into custody of police because they were not having update document, and most of the Bobo who came from other parts of Africa were not having document. Just the visitation of one Bobo young youth, that is what brought down the falling of the camp. So now he controlled it in his own way that he feel that that's the way it's supposed to be. Then he went and make like he combined with the elders of the community who gave the land to Bobo Ashanti. So they take him now as a rightful understanding because first of all, none of the people, even when they were going to court, they were fighting this issue till they went to court because the congregation were not on his side. Yeah. But he was saying he's supposed to be the rightful, and he was really violatedly give everything to government. So now Bobo have to fight the thing with government. So the day they were going to court, I even told them, it's still like we are ignorant because this government constitution doesn't have nothing to do with black supremacy, Bobo Ashanti. So they're not even going to know what we're going to talk about. We're only going to say our story to the court, and the court is not even going to know what to be the solution. So they came back. So there was no other freedom. So the camp has been like controlled by the Prince Ba and is there. But from there, it breaks down the congregation of the Bobo. So Prince Bani continued with one priest in. So we had a police case, and other Bobos came in and helped him. He was freed.
So then is the camp still active today?
Camp still active, but not active in a way of members. But Ba still controlled the camp, and he decided who should come to the camp with his own doctrine on how he wanted to be done. So Bobo come back. Actually, I could remember in Ghana those days, every celebration, everywhere you were in Ghana, whether Bobo or not, there were people moving like from every angle going to Tafo as the main Bobo camp. So I could remember Jadofos, the day we went with Jaliva, Jadofos had a green van. That is the van he normally used. So he will pick us from Volta, come to Somanya, like Gabriel was living with Zebi, like his son. So I began to get closer to him. So we used to move with a group of people like from Volta, pick up some people on the road and Somanya. So before we reach Kofodia, the van will be totally full with grasses. And I was a young ball lad and going through it. So all these things marvels my way of understanding. And when I was in Bobo camp the first Sabbath morning, I was lost because I was in a different planet of life. Because being in a Christian world, I never seen nobody of priest in white robe. Like the whole camp was white. Even if you are not in robe, you have to wear something white. So I was like, and everything was like dew was falling. Like I was like, feel like. And they have one kitchen, universal kitchen, when after 12 morning service, they have to go and have lunch, and everything was ordered, announcement was made, office was there, products were made, like badges, beads, buttons, and so like the whole was like an industrialized camp. And apart from like the path that you walk, like how Cassie is well designed.
Yes.
The rest of the place is just farm products. So when I'm seeing the model of these camps and institutions, and I went to permaculture, I told my director that this is the first time I'm seeing somewhere being created by a bald-headed man who was not a Rasta man. Because I remember when I was in Bobo camp, apart from the lanes, everywhere was farm. Pineapple, cassava, mango, everything was farm.
Okay.
All over the camp, except the walking lanes and the tabernacle, if you have a space, green grass is planted, and every morning they hold 7 psalms of reverence. And so it was very orderly, and not only the church and the Sabbath, but there were other institutional discipline that you live as a Bobo. Even before you move out, you have to wash your face, you have to clean your mouth. So like you smoke and you leave your, there was some kind of standard of control that even when I was living with my elder man Jadofos, you can't wake up in his house without reading your 7 psalms in the morning. So I carried that forward. So any other youth that came to this generation of people, you can't wake up and just move to anything. So like we had discipline of sections of youth in Ghana until when those camps were break down. Now everybody began to grow on the street. So from our time to the young people who follow us, they grow in the dance hall in mostly Akuma village in Accra in Art Center. So
Yeah, Ras Tafari, Emperor Haile Selassie the first. Tell the people about Empress Mene. Well, even if the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, but to the coming while we stand tall, I will shower you with my love. And even when the people start ball, cause they see the city streets them flood, but when the hurricane blow down their wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your love was a lifeline. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, that light was a lifeline. It seems like the world is upside down. I will never hide, I'd rather stand my ground. Lion of Judah blessed with the triple crown. Can't come fool I with no circus clown. Now fear no hurricane or the cyclone. Respect for Mama Earth with that embedded on me bone. That's why I will never leave you alone. Protect you from harm when the alarm sound. So even when the stars they fall and the moon turn into blood, to the coming while we stand tall, I will shower you with my love. And even when the people start ball, cause they see their city streets them flood, when the hurricane blow down our wall, I'll be by your side and me nah budge. Think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your light was a lifeline. I think I found the love of a lifetime. I love you every day or the night time. The Almighty, I made your light shine, and unto I, your love was a lifeline. They say hurt people, maybe that's why Babylon them so evil. Maybe Babylon abused as a child. That's why them no like the light when you smile. That's why them no like how your body curve. The way how you dance get on Babylon nerve. Them no know how the Almighty you serve. Want to be a queen, so a king you deserve. And I'll be by your side when things get worse. When the city flood cause the dam just burst. When you can depend on no state or church. Firm like a man in an Haile Selassie firm.